The members of one of the most infamous rock bands ever wrote a memoir, and now Netflix has brought it to the screen. The Dirt is a wild ride that covers the beginning and rise of Mötley Crüe. So should you rock out to this? The story starts out with narration from the band members, and it continues on throughout the film, and they all take turns just narrating parts of the film. We get perspectives from Nikki Sixx, Mick Mars, Vince Neil, and Tommy Lee, and they are self-aware and snarky and sarcastic in their narration, and it adds a lot of humor to what we're seeing on screen. The actors do a really good job of portraying the band, even if some of the fake playing is a little off. The ride itself is fun and horrifying at times, especially as we watch the band descend into the throes of drug addiction. I think it's a decent cautionary tale of a life lived in excess without being preachy. Now, I know that there are some factual inconsistencies and even things that they got completely wrong. And some of that the film blatantly addresses. And some of it they just kind of gloss over, or they just don't even bring up at all. But ultimately, it doesn't affect the end result of the story. I think the filmmakers are still telling a fairly accurate view of the band itself, especially because the book that the movie is based on was written by the band members. The film does a good job of showing us the foundation for the band and even the beginning parts of their journey to stardom. But what I think happens at the third act is that they really rush it, that they just kind of wrap it up and kind of gloss over everything that happens towards the last part of the band's life. But I guess if we're looking at it at the film from a, here's the band up until this point in time, and then we're not really going to address anything else, well, then it's okay. Then I don't mind that. I just didn't get the sense that that's what was happening. I felt like the movie was telling a full progression of a story, and we just got to a point where it was like, okay, for time and for maybe even budget, we have to stop it a little bit and, you know, we'll just kind of wrap things up there. It does feel like there is a lot more of the story to tell, and it's a noticeable omission just because we don't get the full ending of the story. Now, I did not read the book, so everything I'm talking about is purely based on what I saw on the screen. So I know that there are going to be those factual inaccuracies or just even some of the things, you know, that they cut out for time. And there's got to be a lot more detail that is shared in the written word. And just some of the online comments that I've seen regarding the book is that it is really good, especially if you're a Mötley Crüe fan. Now, I was a fan of the Crue, especially during the Dr. Feelgood era. And so I really liked watching this. I mean, I was enthralled in everything that the band, you know, that they went through, especially as, you know, that rise and the fall and just the pitfalls that they experience, especially with drug addiction. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's terrible to see, but you also see that, hey, they lived fast and they lived hard. And while some of the film may seem over the top or extreme, I have to remind myself that these were the bad boys of rock. I mean, they lived the life of excess. They partied hard. And so while it may seem over the top, while it may seem extreme, my guess is that it's pretty close to accurate. I think it's a good watch, especially if you are or were a Mötley Crüe fan. If you're a casual observer or you didn't care about the band, you might not enjoy the film nearly as much, or you may just see it as a show of wasted youth and wasted potential. Even though despite their poor choices, they have awesome potential, and I think that they did maximize a lot of that. There is a lot of sex, a lot of nudity, a lot of profanity, and a lot of drug use. So just beware going into this. This is not for the younger crowd. I give The Dirt 3.5 out of 5 couches. What is your favorite Mötley Crüe song? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me. It'd be so much better if I had long hair.